Welcome to this new automotive news video, the first of this new week of June 29, 2026. On the agenda today, we'll talk about Peugeot, which is facing a rather worrying recall, and Mercedes, which is causing a new controversy with an idea that is likely to strongly displease its employees, about Europe's self-driving car sector, which has just suffered another major setback, and about the favorite car category of auto enthusiasts, which is simply disappearing in almost total indifference. I hope these first topics of the week will interest you. If that's the case, I'm counting on you to show it as usual by supporting my channel for free. You can do that by leaving a like on this video, boosting it if the option appears for you, subscribing for my upcoming videos, and of course, leaving a comment where you share your thoughts on today's news. We know that right now it's very complicated for historic European brands, and Mercedes won't tell you otherwise. Remember, a few weeks ago, they announced particularly worrying results for 2025, with net profits cut in half compared to 2024 and especially lower than those achieved in 2020, which was a COVID year. In this context, Mercedes is evaluating different solutions that would allow them to continue producing and selling as many cars, reduce their production costs, while avoiding layoffs as much as possible. They have found a solution that might not please everyone, since the German manufacturer is considering increasing the weekly working hours from 35 to 40 without any salary increase. Specifically, that would mean about 260 additional working hours per year without any extra pay. Basically, Mercedes is asking its employees to work 5 extra hours per week for free. And it doesn't stop there because, according to the German media Automobile for Automobile Verein, Mercedes has also decided to suspend the payment of a bonus that was roughly equivalent to 20% of the monthly salary, a bonus that has been postponed to 2027. Two ideas from Mercedes that, as you can imagine, don't please either the unions or the employees, who remind us that, until now, Mercedes' strength and competitive edge were based above all on innovation, product quality, and engine quality, rather than on reducing the workforce and cutting labor costs. In any case, this proposal is likely to spark a lot of discussion in the coming days, because even though Mercedes says it wants to maintain its competitiveness in a difficult economic climate, asking employees for more effort without anything in return is, of course, far from being unanimously accepted. Unfortunately, Mercedes is not the only brand announcing bad news at the start of this week. Now, let's talk about the Stellantis Group. What would a week of automotive news be without a major new recall organized by the Stellantis Group? Well, we won't be getting the answer to that question this week, since a major new recall has been issued for vehicles from the Peugeot, Citroën, and DS brands. Around 50,000 vehicles are being recalled, just in France alone. For once, this recall isn't related to a potential engine defect or a possible fire risk, but to a somewhat more unusual defect linked to an electronic problem that's just as dangerous. Because of a defect in the vehicle management software, it's possible that when the engine is running, the interior door handles become deactivated. What does that actually mean? It means that if the electronic problem occurs, you might not be able to open your car from the inside and could end up trapped inside. In most cars, the interior handle uses a rod or cable to mechanically unlock the door. So you can open it from inside, even if the battery is dead or there's an electronic issue. But in the case of recent vehicles, and the vehicles affected by this recall are recent vehicles. For example, the latest DS8, the newest 3008, 308, 408, 5008 from Peugeot, as well as the latest Citroën C5X. The doors are no longer completely independent from the electronics. The opening system is controlled by the VSM, the Vehicle Supervision Module, which manages the central locking, and a bug in its software could prevent the interior control from triggering the unlocking or opening of the door, even though the mechanical part is not broken. A real safety issue in case of a fire with passengers trapped inside the vehicle, or simply in the event of an accident. The owners of the affected vehicles are currently being contacted by their dealership and are being asked to schedule an appointment as soon as possible. The procedure takes about 30 minutes and simply involves updating the vehicle's software, an update of the well-known VSM in order to restore its proper functioning. If you own one of these models and are affected by this recall, it's best not to wait to schedule an appointment. Because summer is approaching, at this time of year, service departments are especially busy, particularly at Stellantis dealerships. And the sooner you schedule an appointment, the less likely you are to face long wait times. As we can see in this example, software is taking up more and more space in our cars, especially with the arrival of various autonomous driving systems. And in fact, Volkswagen, the largest European car manufacturer, has just announced some very bad news about this. According to several German media outlets, Volkswagen is simply planning to end its long-standing partnership with Bosch in the development of its autonomous driving and driver assistance technologies. This partnership had actually been launched quite recently, in 2022 through Cariad, Volkswagen's software subsidiary. Its goal was to develop autonomous driving systems intended to be deployed across all of the group's brands. But after 3 years of work, and especially after investing 1 to 1.5 billion euros, the project simply did not meet expectations. According to the German Daily Bild, internal evaluations concluded that the technology developed simply wasn't up to par, not competitive enough. By the way, you have to wonder what Cariad actually managed to accomplish, because between autonomous driving, which doesn't meet the group's expectations, and the electronics of Volkswagen's electric cars managed by Cariad, which were so bad and so buggy that Volkswagen had to urgently invest $6 billion in 2025 to buy part of the Rivian car brand, specialized in electric vehicles, simply to reuse its software. Today, Volkswagen is therefore ending this partnership between Bosch and Cariad, and is reportedly looking for a new partner capable of providing both the hardware and software needed for its future autonomous driving. According to the initial reports we have, the automotive group absolutely wants to find a replacement before the end of September 2026. Yet another difficult decision to announce for Volkswagen, which is already struggling, and which announced a few days ago 100,000 job cuts and the closure of 4 factories. And more broadly, it's another blow for the European automotive industry, because right now, most European brands, not all but most, are struggling. The only brands that are notably doing well with this technology are Tesla and BYD. 2 brands that are absolutely not European. Unfortunately, it's not anytime soon that we'll see a major European company emerge in autonomous driving. And that's despite tens of billions of euros invested by our manufacturers in the car of tomorrow. And by the way, while the car of tomorrow is struggling to be invented, the ones that captivated several generations are becoming cars of the past. Indeed, the coupe-type car category has never been in such bad shape. The figures for the first 5 months of 2026 are clear. Most of these models are seeing a sharp drop in their sales in France, mainly because of the CO2 penalty, which has become more and more discouraging. Let's take the example of the Porsche 911, which set a world record in 2025 with 50,000 units sold. Its registrations in France collapsed after a drop of 15 last year. They have been almost cut in half at the start of this year, with only 92 units registered. It's worth noting that even the hybrid versions are now hit with the maximum penalty of 80,000 euros. The situation is even worse for other models like the Ford Mustang. Its price starts at 60,000 euros at the dealership, plus an 80,000 euro penalty. As a result, only 4 units have been registered this year, which is a drop of 60 compared to the same period in 2025. The Lotus Emira hasn't had any registrations at all in 2026 in France once again. At Ferrari, sales of the 296 have dropped by 47. Because of a change in the method of calculating CO2 emissions, since this plug-in hybrid car went from official emissions of 149 grams of CO2 to 201 because of a simple change in the calculation formula. Now it's penalized by up to 80,000 euros. Only 13 units have been registered. It's the same for other luxury manufacturers: Aston Martin, Bentley, McLaren, Maserati. Maserati is showing quite sharp declines, ranging from 25 to 46%. Only Lamborghini is holding up, with a 14% increase thanks to the arrival of 2 new models, the Revuelto and the Temerario. Even on the side of more reasonable cars, or even 100% electric ones without penalties, things are falling apart completely. The Cyberster, the 100% electric roadster from AMG, saw its sales drop by 60%. And the Alpine A110, which is still the best-selling sports car in France, still saw its sales drop by 18% compared to the same period in 2025. And we know that's not going to go back up. Since Alpine is ending the A110, there will only be a few models left in stock at dealerships. So sales will obviously drop even more. Paradoxically, you can rest assured you won't see fewer of them on our roads, since during the same period, there was an increase in the number of sports cars registered in our neighboring countries. In Germany, in Eastern European countries, and in Belgium, we are simply seeing more and more companies specializing in registering cars abroad to avoid the CO2 penalty emerging. So first, in practice, the CO2 balance of our car fleet is not going to decrease, and second, all the registration taxes and VAT that could have been collected on these cars. In France, if the penalty had been a bit more reasonable, are ultimately collected by our neighboring countries. Basically, these figures might tell us something more important. Between environmental regulations, ever-increasing taxes, and the evolution of the market, fun cars are gradually becoming exceptions, even the most affordable ones. So the question arises, will future generations have the chance to dream in front of a gas-powered sports car, or even a sports car at all? Because for now, electric sports cars are something that only exist in the wildest dreams of Alpine or a few brands like Porsche who have partially thrown in the towel. Let me know what you think in the comments. In any case, that's it for today's news. I hope you found the video interesting. If so, please like, subscribe for future videos, and consider supporting the channel with the join button below. See you tomorrow. Bye.